Imagine you are at work and you get an invite to a baby shower. One of your coworkers is pregnant. Everybody is elated, so happy. And you should be happy too, right? I said should with air quotes because perhaps you're in a part of your fertility journey, pregnancy journey, where attending other people's baby showers is not your idea of fun. What happens when that conflicts with the fact that you feel an obligation that society is imposing on you to attend this baby shower? We're going to talk about that. Join me inside. Welcome to the Wise Doula podcast, a place for informative, uplifting, and educational conversations. Here, we will discuss all things connected with parenting, from conception to birth, postpartum, and beyond. You are amongst friends here, so go ahead and grab a cup of your favorite drink. Remember, not caffeinated if you are expecting, and join me inside. I can't wait to speak with you. Baby showers are one of those things that elicits thoughts of joy, new life, excitement, etc. On the surface, everybody that gets an invitation is happy to celebrate with the family, excited thinking about what to buy, etc., etc. Underneath the surface, though, you might encounter that baby showers and pregnancy announcements are particularly hard for any of us that have experienced perinatal loss. This beautiful event that supposedly means that everybody needs to jump for joy, everybody needs to get excited thinking about what to buy and what to bring. Everybody needs to show up there and put on a big smile for the new mom, etc., etc. Because at the end of the day, let's face it, we all love celebrating new life, don't we? The promise of a new life, the promise of a new beginning. It is a beautiful celebration. It is. And when somebody announces that they're pregnant on Facebook or they text you or any other way, of course, it's also a source for celebration, for joy, for elation, new life, new beginnings. How beautiful. But here is the caveat with that. Those of us that have experienced perinatal loss no longer can look at those events and think puppies, butterflies, and little hearts. We look at those events with a certain amount of sadness. And again, like in any episode where we talk about perinatal loss, I am going to say everybody's experience is different. So I'm not going to generalize. Your experience, your individual experience might be very different. But what happens is that to the parent that is organizing this baby shower or to the best friend that is organizing the baby shower, everybody should be super happy because ultimately they want to do what's best for their friend or their family member. And they want to organize this baby shower so they get a lot of things for the baby and everything. And so they're thinking with joy, with happiness, with celebration in their mind. To the person that is invited, to the family that is invited that has gone through perinatal loss, this is a really difficult place to be, okay? All that joy, all that excitement might or might not be there. Honestly, it depends on how long ago their loss was, on how have they processed their grief, on how they are navigating that journey, on how much exposure they're having to friends and family being pregnant again. There is a myriad of factors. So when this invitation arrives, we are faced with a decision. Do we attend or not attend? Do we help them celebrate or do we stay home? See, It might seem pretty cut and dry to you if you've never gone through perinatal loss. You might think, what's the big deal? Aren't you happy for them? Aren't you going to celebrate with them? That's what society says, right? Oh, you should be happy for them. You should celebrate with them. We don't need to shoot anything. We need to listen to ourselves and do what we need to do for our own healing. Here's the thing with grief, and I have a little visual if you're watching the video. It used to be thought that in our lives we encounter grief, okay? And we did the grieving and we left that behind and our life just continued, and the grief was just something that happened to us, but then we just left it behind us. But what research has told us over time, what the researchers have found out, is that grief happens at a point in our lives, and then our life grows around it. So no, it's not something we leave behind. It's something that stays there, becomes a part of us. So we don't go through grief, we walk alongside grief. And we let it sit there and construct our life after the grieving process the best we can, moving on to other experiences. But that grief never leaves us. It morphs over time, it changes, but it never leaves us. Let me give you an example. Our perinatal loss, my husband and I experienced loss 9 years ago. And in those 9 years, of course, our grief has morphed and has changed. And the intensity of the grief in the first year, in the first two, has softened over time. But the grief is always there, and it can come back and surprise you at any moment. For me, sometimes it came back 2-3 years later. It came back at a secondhand store when I was looking at little baby dresses, and I started sobbing, realizing that I would never get to put those dresses on my baby. Another time it came at Target, walking through the baby section and realizing seeing all the tiny items was too much for me, and I had to physically walk to a different part of the store and avoid that section for a long time. Sometimes it resurfaces in something you are watching, in something you are reading that is really deep and powerful, in looking at a sunset, in church when you see other families with their little ones and you realize your daughter would be 9 today, this year, but she's not here with you. So grief can come back at any moment. One of the things that is particularly challenging as we are healing from our loss is receiving either pregnancy announcements or invitations to baby showers, particularly if they are from friends and family, and sometimes from work too, because you feel a certain obligation to show up at baby showers when it's a coworker of yours and you want to be part of celebrating that new life. And it is not that you are unhappy for them, that you are angry or anything like that. So, and it is not that you don't want to celebrate with them. You do. But depending on where you are in your grieving process, that might be very hard. I think about perinatal loss. I also think about clients going through a fertility process. And I think about how challenging that is. And honestly, if I look back at all the baby showers I attended when I was a teacher, at the time I hadn't started my motherhood journey, so I didn't think much of, I just went. They didn't affect me. I just went. I bought the gift and I went. But as I became aware of pregnancy loss after experiencing it ourselves. I now look back and realize many of the teachers that attended those baby showers with me probably didn't want to be there. There were teachers going through IVF. There were teachers going through complicated fertility processes and not able to achieve that pregnancy. There were teachers in the process of adoption or dealing with a failed adoption or a difficult adoption. And I figure now that for a lot of people, it must have been really hard. For me, it was a before and after, Before I went through motherhood, my biggest concern with a baby shower was showing up and also what to bring, because I always worried about bringing the right gift, not too big, not too small. In fact, my first baby shower in the US, I would never forget. I attended two for the same mom, and I didn't know what to do. So I brought gifts to both. I didn't know you could just bring gifts to one. So I ended up splitting the money that I was going to use into two gifts, which I ended up with two tiny gifts. And then I didn't know there was this custom here of reading who the gift was from and announcing it to the whole room so somebody could take notes for the thank you cards. And I was utterly mortified. I will never forget that day. So before I was pregnant, that was my biggest concern. What am I going to buy? Who's going to the baby shower? Where is the address? Oh my goodness, look at all these beautiful gifts. After I went through pregnancy and loss, my concern was, how am I going to make it through even 30 minutes, 45 minutes of this baby shower? How am I going to sit there and smile and pretend to be happy while this mom, who is pregnant, and I'm not anymore, is opening gifts? And everybody is going, ooh, ah, look at that beautiful onesie. Look at those beautiful socks. Oh my goodness, the little shoes. Oh my goodness. Every one of those words, every one of those moments is a reminder, a harsh one, that your baby is not here yet or that your baby has departed, that you are not going to have that baby shower. Not right now. Maybe never. That's also a reality we have to accept with perinatal loss. As much as people say, oh, you will have another one. Maybe, maybe not. In our case, we never had a rainbow baby. So let me tell you, for a few years, I avoided them like the plague. I gave an excuse. I knew my heart couldn't be there. I just couldn't. And finally, after 2 or 3 years, I think I remember going to one at work, and I stayed as long as I humanly could. And then I left, but I stayed for a little bit. And then I avoided them again. And another one came up from a good friend. I knew I wanted to be there for her. But my heart, I tell you, was in absolute turmoil. It was so hard. I wanted to really celebrate and have a joyful moment with her. But I knew my feelings, my emotions were valid as well. I didn't know how to marry those two. I really didn't. And I'm going to tell you, whatever emotions, whatever feelings you're having, they're absolutely valid. Don't listen to anybody with the should. You should feel this. You should feel that. Oh, come on. It's been this long since your loss. Oh, come on. Blah, blah, blah. No, no, no. Your feelings and emotions are completely valid. Completely. And your journey is valid, whatever that looks like. So at that time, what I did was I found help. I went to an online support group that I was a part of, still am. And I asked other moms how they had navigated this baby shower process after losing their babies. And what people told me consistently is, first decide if you are able to go or not to go. Is it going to be too hard for you? If it is, it's okay to say no to the invitation. But if you decide to go, it is important to give yourself an out. It is important to tell yourself, I will go, but if it gets to be too much, I am going to be leaving. And here comes part 3 of the advice they gave me. If you have a good relationship with the mother, explain to her that this is going to happen. So this was really good advice they gave me. And I put it in my heart, I thought, okay, I'm going to use this. So when the baby shower for this friend came, and this was, I want to say 5 years ago. It was her first baby. I struggled. I thought, should I just not go? Should I go? If I go, what am I going to do? I don't want her to think I'm not happy or I don't want to celebrate with her. I decided to call her. And boy, this was a tough phone call because I had never spoken that openly about my feelings, okay? But I said, sweetie, this is what's happening. I am planning to come to your baby shower. I want you to know that because you're having a girl, just like I was having, and because you're a very close friend, and because you and I have sat together and talked about getting pregnant and etc., because of all of those things, this baby shower is particularly hard. I want you to know I'll be coming, but if it gets to be too much, I will leave early. And I will step outside into the patio and get fresh air. I don't want you to think I am not happy for you. I am not celebrating with you. But I need to do this for my own heart, for my own emotions, for my soul. And she understood. Now, I wouldn't have done this with a girl at work that I didn't know that well. Okay. In that case, I would have used a different reason. But with this girl, she was a friend. So I felt comfortable telling her. When I got there, she thanked me for being at her baby shower, and she told me she completely understood if I needed to leave early. And here's the interesting part, guys. I think because I had given my heart and my soul that opportunity to leave early, the baby shower went better than I expected. I actually enjoyed my time there. I didn't feel the need to leave early. I had conversations with several moms there that were pregnant. There was also a labor and delivery nursing student that I had conversations with about birth. And I ended up putting on my doula hat and really enjoying the experience. But I think the reason I enjoyed it is because I had given myself tools to step out of it if I needed to. And so that's the biggest thing for yourself if you are going through this. What tools are you going to have in place? Don't let society tell you what you should or shouldn't feel. Don't let people tell you, oh, well, it's been this many years. Remember, life grows around our grief, and our grief is always there. It's not as intense, it's not as overpowering as it is at the beginning, but it's still there. And nobody can tell you that you are weird, different, strange, that you shouldn't feel that way, that come on, it's time to move on. Why aren't you happy for them? You also don't need to explain yourself. Like I said, if the mom is a good friend and you want to talk and say, hey, this is what's happening, absolutely. But you don't need to explain yourself to anybody else. You just need to say, right now, my husband and I, my partner and I need to safeguard our emotions, our emotional and mental health, our grieving process. And that means we will not be a part of the baby shower. It is too hard for us right now, but we love you and we are celebrating with you. So it is okay to feel happy, to feel sad, to feel in between. And remember, during the time you are grieving. It might mean that some people don't understand it. It might mean that some friendships fall off the bandwagon, and you need to be okay with that. I know it hurts. It hurts like 1,000 daggers when you have that good friend that you think will support you unconditionally. And when you're going through this process, that friend disappears or doesn't understand you or accuses you of not being supportive. It's okay. It's okay. Your feelings are valid. Your emotions are valid. You are going through a very unique and individual process. The most important person in the equation is you and your partner. Okay? Sometimes, for wanting to please people, to appease people, to be good to everybody, we put ourselves last. No more. No more. In any process of fertility, pregnancy, birth, etc., in any process of loss, in any process of dealing with perinatal bereavement, put yourself first. Society can say whatever. We have a long way to go until there is more education at the societal level about perinatal loss, about the impact of perinatal loss. And just because society tries to brush it under the carpet, it's not going anywhere. Okay? And when it's happening to you, feel what you need to feel and do what you need to do. Like I said, this process is completely individual. Even if books tells us, oh, grief looks like this and like that, and it looks very similar, but then it looks very different for different people. Your level of comfort of being present in front of other pregnant moms might vary with time, with circumstances. So my message is never feel that obligation that you have to go and be happy, happy, happy. It's okay. If you're not feeling happy, it's okay. It's okay. Safeguard your heart and your emotions. Have a plan of action. Decide what that's going to look like. What am I going to do when people send me a pregnancy announcement? What am I going to do when people send me a baby shower invitation? Am I ready to go? Am I not ready? And you might want to try because just like it happened to me that time, it might surprise you. You might actually end up having a better time than you thought. But if you don't, know that you have tools at your disposal in your toolbox to say, hey, we're going to leave early. Hey, sorry, this is not a good time. We cannot make it that day. Hey, you're my best friend, so I'm going to tell you this might be too rough and I might need to step out early. With all due respect to your celebration, etc. Because ultimately it's about you and your process, okay? And when we do stuff like this, as hard as it is to talk about it, remember how I said when I called my friend, I was all sorts of nervous? It is good because we are bringing awareness to society. We are bringing up the message that it's not always hunky-dory to show up at a baby shower if you've gone through loss. Loss is very real and is very painful. And so always find the tools at your disposal. Utilize this advice that I shared today if it helps you. And please know that whatever is going on in your body and mind right now, it's absolutely okay. You are doing your best. You are doing well. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You are grieving. And nobody should tell you that you can only grieve this way or this long, or you have to be automatically happy for other people having a baby. No, Just respect your process. Of course, with that comes a bit of a message as well. If you are deep in grief, and if you are at a point where your grief is complicated and it's impacting your daily activities, and you're not able to function with your daily activities, and it's really permeating everything you do, then it's a good time to look for help, okay? So also be aware of what's going on in your grief journey. And if you're at a point where you need professional help, a therapist, etc., absolutely, a support group, absolutely do that. But other than that, respect the process. Hey, it's a process that all of us wish we didn't have to go through. But the reality is life and death, hand in hand, they are part of the human experience. And we wish we could say that babies don't die, but babies do die, unfortunately. They do die and they leave us behind. And there is nothing harder than having to say goodbye to your little one, regardless of what stage of pregnancy that was. So I encourage you to be mindful and be kind to yourself, and to set those healthy boundaries around baby showers and pregnancy announcements if you are going through a process of grief, perinatal loss during a fertility process, etc., etc. Now, if you are listening and you have not been touched by perinatal loss, this episode is for you as well, because I want you to be mindful of how to best care for your friends and family members that have gone through loss. Okay? Help them, embrace them, listen to them. If you are the one celebrating that baby shower or that pregnancy announcement, watch yourself a little bit. Find a kind way to share that announcement or that baby shower invitation. Give them space to say yes or no. Give them space to be there celebrating with you or stay at home. Don't blame them for not coming. Don't blame them for not being happy. They are doing their best. It's just that this is hard. It's a harsh reminder of what they couldn't have, of what we couldn't have. So use all your kindness and your humanity to support them. Because as much as you need support in your happiness, they need support in their sorrow. Okay, I hope you have learned some new tips with the episode, and it has been my pleasure to spend time with you today. I will see you next week. Bye for now. Hey, you have listened to the Wise Doula podcast today. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, everything we discussed today was meant for entertainment and educational purposes only. It does not substitute the advice of your medical provider. Would you do us a favor? Follow me on Instagram at LovingBellyDoula. Also, let me know what other topics you would like to see me discuss in this podcast. And please subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platforms. Thank you so much. I will see you next week.